What's the earliest part of your childhood you can remember?
Before I went to school, I can remember living where I was born, and that's where my grandpa lived. It'd be quite a while ago. We all lived with him at one time. It was during the Depression time, you know. It was hard times, you know. We'd trade wheat for flour. We even grew molasses, you know, sugar cane. Then we'd take most of the leaves off of it and then haul it up to a place where they had a mill that they made molasses out of it, you know. They run it through a machine that squeezed the juice out of it, and they caught that, and then they boiled it down, made it into molasses. And so instead of having sugar, we had molasses that we sweetened our stuff with, you know, because we didn't have no money to buy sugar with, see. Several years before World War II started, you know, the people were real poor, and they used to stack up their crops in the field, and they couldn't even afford to haul it out to sell it because you couldn't get nothing for it, you know. Wheat was 18 cents a bushel. Always runs $3 or $4 or $5 a bushel now when they sell it. And everything you raised, there was no demand for it. See? Made it so if you lived on a farm, about all you could do is survive off of it because you could eat the stuff you grew, you know. And cattle wasn't worth hardly anything. And people would give you a cow to butcher if you needed one to butcher, you know. They'd just give you one of theirs, you know. Because I was living with my grandpa, and he had a row of grapes, Concord grapes, through the middle of his garden. We used to make a lot of stuff out of them. And we had fruit trees. We grew our own fruit. We grew our own potatoes. We had sweet potatoes, and we had regular Irish potatoes. We grew a lot of tomatoes and canned them. We grew a lot of things like turnips and cabbage, and then we'd dig a hole down the ground, put straw down there, and then put this stuff in there that we wanted to keep for winter. And we'd butcher 2 or 3 hogs, and they had salt they sold in, so they call ham curing salt and so forth. You rub them hams down with that salt. We'd take corn to the mill in town, trade it for cornmeal to make cornbread, and then we'd take some grain and have them chop it for us to feed our chickens and stuff, you know. And we did most of our farming with horses. But the horses were smart, you know, they were trained and stuff, and you holler G and haul if you want to go left or right. We used to cut our own wood to carry us through the winter. Cut down trees and cut it up into sticks of wood, you know. Haul it in, stack it up, and then during the winter use that to heat your house. When I went to school, I went to this 2-room schoolhouse for a long time. Walked 2 miles up to it, 2 miles back. Called Lostine School. They had 8 grades in the 2-room. They only had some of the classes only half a dozen pupils in it, you know. In the wintertime, they used to bring a sleigh to school, and then recess and noon, they'd tie the sleigh behind usually a guy was the principal of the school. So they'd tie it behind his car, and he'd pull the other school teachers up and down the street on a sleigh, you know. I had a real good grandpa. He actually wasn't no blood relation, but he treated us better than if he was, you know. And my brothers, after my father died, my brother Glenn, the reason he's so easygoing is he patterned his life after my grandpa. And so he just really easygoing, you know, about everything. That's the way my grandpa was, see. As a young boy, I left Missouri for California and became a mechanic. Then on to the Army, where I was a drill sergeant. I quite enjoyed traveling to Mexico, and I love flying planes. settled in Utah and Arizona as a business owner. I love to fly back home and see my mother when she was still alive, and to visit with my brothers and sisters. I raised 2 great kids with a little help. Well, it was quite an interesting time.